Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Pits of Motorcast. This show is Dave. I got a special guest, the slightly twisted sister team of Molly and Craig Pruett. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, Dave. How about yourself? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So, you guys ready for Christmas?
Close.
Now, you guys do your shopping in the stores, or you do online shopping, or both?
I did both.
Yeah, that's a lot of people do these days.
Yeah, it's sad, but it's easier. Too many people here in Portland, Oregon.
Man.
Takes too long to get everywhere.
So now, tell me about the slightly twisted sister car.
Well, we're in the middle of a transition. We won the 2018 Woodburn Drag Strip Championship in the slightly twisted sister 1948 Fiat Topolino built by Ron Austin out of Medford, Oregon. And we sold that car this fall. And Molly will be debuting in a 200-inch Jerry Hill built dragster that was actually built by Jerry Hall, and Jerry Hill in 2006. It's a small block, 373 blown alcohol injected 200-inch dragster front engine, nostalgia style.
Nice.
And that's what Molly's going to come out in this year. And we hope to be proceeding into points in a class in a group here at Woodburn called Pro Nostalgia. We are also going to try and shoot for a few races like Boise, Idaho, Mission, Canada, and maybe try and make it a little south into some of the California run races with NorCal Nostalgia and run with those guys a little bit.
So it sounds like Molly has a need for speed.
We do. Molly is a third-generation drag racer. Her grandfather raced. Her father raced a 41 wheelies. And she has three brothers, and all three brothers have cars. And so now she has a sister-in-law that races also, and so a nephew that races. So we actually have, when we're at the track, we have 4 generations of Pruetts, and we have a whole bunch of racing going on. We normally represent 3 classes. This year, when we get into the new car, we'll drop that to 2 classes because 2 of the brothers race in the same classes Molly will be entering into.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, you got beat up on your brothers.
It's good. It's good beating up and good fun. The cool thing about that Fiat, though, is it was only a 100-inch wheelbase. And Ron Austin built such an amazing car that it drove straight as a string. And so this dragster I'm getting into is twice as long. So that's going to be a little different. I'll be sitting on the back tires. So it's a different feeling sitting on the end, getting to swing a little bit than it is even in a short wheelbase car. So we're looking forward to it. A lot of changes, but it'll be progress.
So what year did you actually start your drag racing career, Molly?
In 2004, I started in a 67 Nova, which was kind of fun, and it ran mid-9s, and it's still owned by one of our close family friends. And the Fiat went to a close family friend, too, so he's going to have it out at Woodburn Drag Strip, which is great. And then I drove a Danny Nelson rear-engine dragster for a few years, and then I drove a Brogy for a little bit. I had a Spitzer Alders that I drove for a little bit, kind of switching cars, and then I kind of branched off and started buying my own cars with Craig here, and so now we have our cars.
Now, is the front engine dragster gonna have a name on it, or is it just gonna be plain?
Well, we're thinking Slightly Twisted Sister 2. And the car has a name from the two previous owners had nicknamed the car Lil Girl. And so we'll maintain that so the people that we bought it from, the car will get pinstriped, and somewhere on the car it will say Lil Girl. So Molly will be driving the Slightly Twisted Sister 2 with Little Girl as the car and her as the Slightly Twisted Sister. So it'll be a fun year, and we're kind of looking forward to that.
So what's your history in drag racing, Craig?
What's that? Excuse me?
I said, what is your history in drag racing?
My history in drag racing, my father was into drag racing here in the Portland metropolitan area way back in the early 60s and into the early 70s. He had everything from roadsters to front-engine blown dragsters to one of the very first rear-engine dragsters that he built the chassis on that had a Hemi in it here in the Northwest. That actually, it was kind of a interesting story. Don Garlitz actually came to our house in southeast Portland one day to see my dad's rear-engine dragster after Don's crash in Lyons there, where he hurt his foot in the front-engine dragster. That's made history famous about front-engine dragsters. And then my dad went on to having a 65 fastback funny car, racing on the asphalt and on the sand. And then he went into buying one of Ed McCullough's old funny cars, the 71.5 CUDA, or 70.5 CUDA, excuse me, with a Keith Black Hemi in it. And that car got crashed in 72, 73 at Portland International Raceway. Him and Jerry Ruth collided. And that was the end of my dad's racing career, which meant as us kids at the time, we didn't get to go to the track no more. So
sad. Sorry.
So I went to Alaska as an adult, and when I came back, started working on race cars in the area with a lot of my father's old friends, which were by nature, just time goes on, we're getting a little up in age and needed some help, and I had a strong back and a weak mind and loved cars. And so I started helping them, and lo and behold, Molly and I met, and the rest is history, as you'd say at that point. We decided we wanted to go racing and buy our own car, and now we're doing that. So I crew chief on two cars. I crew chief for Pete Farrell on his 200-inch front-engine dragster, and I crew chief on Molly's car, which would be a small block 200-inch front-engine dragster.
Well, that's pretty neat. And
I think it is.
And how many people can say they had Big Daddy Don Garlitz come to their house?
Not a lot, especially you got to remember, Don Garlitz being from the east, to have him show up at your neighborhood house in Portland in the 60s was pretty cool.
Yeah. So how old were you when he came over?
I think I was right at about 10. And my famous story was I used to sleep in the house, but I lived in the garage. And I knew everybody that came to the garage because my dad also built engines for a lot of racers. And if they came to our garage, they had to go by me first. So I knew everyone that came in, went out, what kind of car they drove, what displacement engine they had. Funny story, I was in Eagle River, Alaska in 2010, 2008, somewhere in there. And I'd seen a car with a Portland Roadster Show plaque. Lo and behold, if I didn't remember that car from when I was a child, from 1969, and I met the owner and started talking to him, and my dad had built his engine, and he went on to the Winter Nationals and was almost a world record holder down there in a 57 Chevrolet, Dean Johnson. And I'm still good friends with him today. He lives here in Washington, not too far from us.
Yeah, drag racing is all just one big happy family. It just gets bigger and bigger as years go on.
It does, and it doesn't matter how far apart you are or how close you are. If you're at the track and you have friends that need something, it's theirs.
Yep, that's what I always hear. The competitor is willing to give something off his car if you need it, just so you can keep running.
Yep.
Well, it's like I say, Molly and I, when the whole family is at the track, our day doesn't end when we go out in a round or when we break or heaven forbid something like that goes on. If we're done for the day, we still have 4 family cars that we have to help support and help get down the track, and it's a family. I mean, and it's family, it's blood. We have to be there to help them tow back and help them get it out, get back to the track, and help them go rounds. And in the same respects, if it's us, I mean, our championship year, if it wasn't for a family helping us, we'd be under a lot of stress. But the family pulls together, and we have a great time. And our big saying in the Pruett clan is we go to a family reunion and a drag race breaks out every weekend, all summer long.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
When I had my 67 Nova and I was running it, one of my wheels, I had a problem with it, and one of our friends had a street rod Nova. He literally took the front tires off his car and let me use them to race all day long. And finally, I'm like, "Do you want to go home?" He goes, "Well, yeah, my wife probably would like to have me back at some point." Just took the wheels right off his car. Here you go. Keep racing.
Wow.
Yeah. Good people.
Oh yeah. So Molly, what was your first time experience like going down a drag strip with that Nova for the first time ever?
Well, my first passes were in a rear engine dragster.
How'd that go then?
It was awesome because my first car was a 69 Chevelle, and it was just the posi, one wheel go. And so whenever you got on it, it always fishtail, right? So when I went out there, I just went womp, 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 because every time I'd step on the gas, it went straight. So my next pass, I'm like, really? So I could just mat it down and it'll go straight. And they go, yeah, that's the point. So I did. I think I ran like a 542 or something. You can only run a 539 in the 8th without a license. They said, you can't go that fast. You're going to get us kicked out of here. So yeah, the second pass it was on. And then it wasn't shortly after that. I went shopping and bought a 67 Nova, which is funny because the guy that built it to begin with is a good friend of ours. We didn't buy it from him, but it's been in the family, been around to a few different people, and it's still around. So that's kind of cool too. But yeah, it was a thrill, and then the faster you go, it almost gets a little slower. But making a couple passes in a front engine car when I was starting to get my advanced license a couple of years ago, ran 170 miles an hour, and it felt slow. I'm like, gosh, that was kind of smooth. And I didn't think I ran a very good pass, and it was the quickest one I had. Ran in the 7th, so that was fun. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Now, what was the quickest pass you made with the Fiat?
It only had a 355-inch small block on it. So it runs like, I think, what did we get, an 851 out of it, 150?
849 at 152.
Yeah. So, it's good, but the good thing is, the quickest 60 foot was a 117. So it's quick getting out of the hole. It just kind of laid over because it didn't have any more beams. But the car is built as such, and that's how it works, and it works very well for the motor that's in it. I mean, it'll run the same number. The guy that we sold it to, we had the tranny freshened up. He went out and licensed in it, and 3 of his 60-foot passes were within 2/1000ths of a second. And he hasn't even driven in 2 years. that's a testament to both the car and the driver. So we're really looking forward to seeing Sonny Sherradella drive that car in the Dragster Roadster this year. Help him out all we can.
Yep.
So Molly, what drag racers are your big inspirations?
Wow. I just like watching the drag racing. I like going down to Bakersfield, but you have to admit, people have a tendency to put down the big NHRA events anymore. But if John Force wasn't as crazy and outspoken and loud as he is, people wouldn't have a lot of interest in going to some of those big races. When he got Ashley in the car to begin with, it was pretty cool to see all the women out there getting excited about the racing because there was a girl doing it. But and watching the professionals do good to help support and encourage people to continue the sport of drag racing, that I think is cool. And so what really inspires me is just even when we go to different tracks, how nice people are, like the new family in Boise. You go over there and they treat you like $1 million. The atmosphere of the whole track, everybody's happy, and you meet people. I mean, you pit next to people, you don't even know them. So, I mean, that's really like an inspiration to me. And to go over there and I have some guy looking at his car and he goes, yeah, I really like this. Me and my brother had one like this before. And lo and behold, there was Harry Burkholder sitting there taking pictures of the Fiat, chatting. So that was pretty cool to meet a legend. So I don't think it's really any person in particular. It's probably just everybody as a whole. And it's like anything. I think when you take your kids to play baseball and they grow up from grade school to high school, you form these relationships with people that last a lifetime.
Yeah. So Craig, besides you being the crew chief for the new dragster, will there be other crew members?
We do. We have a lot of help in our racing operation. First off, we have a lot of sponsors that support Molly and the racing and like their name on the side of the car and on the side of the trailer. We have KP Industrial, and we have Snap-on with Clark Davis, the Fat Moose Restaurant, Clark Auto Parts, Pruett Brothers Racing, and we also have Mr. Steel Inc. and Sherradella Trucking, and one of our new sponsors is Scott Sayer with Odyssey Batteries. So we have that. That's kind of the crew behind the scenes, you might say, as a crew chief, because without them, a lot would have not got done, and they come graciously and help us with whatever we need. Then we have family. Mm-hmm. We have my nephew, Nicholas Dietz, and his wife, Dylan Dietz, that tow for us and help us turn the cars and wrench on them. And then we have my niece, believe it or not, and she tows for us, Kristen Malden, and her husband, Nick Malden. They help us turn the car as well. So,
and their daughter, our biggest fan.
Yeah, it's our biggest fan, Abigail Malden, and she is she's in training for being a tow driver for the car in the future, and she's 8, and she knows that is, as she says it, drag racing is my life, Uncle Craig. And I'm actually her great uncle. So we have a lot of support from family. Pete and Deb Farrow. Pete is my mentor. He coaches me on things we need to do. He's been racing forever. When I was a 8-year-old, 5-year-old, I used to tug on his back pockets and saying, Pete, can I go? Pete, can I go? Because he worked on my dad's funny cars. And now I'm working on his cars. So I got Pete Farrell and Deb Farrell that go with me and help with me and bring the cars back. And my dad, every now and then I can actually get my dad to come to the track. And he's talking this year. He might actually come and help, tune some valves and tune the car and help out a little bit. And he's going to be 79 this May. So we kind of need to have Dad back out at the track and helping with the car.
Oh, yeah. So now, how did the Slightly Twisted Sister name come about?
Well, the Fiat when Ron Austin built it, it was named Slightly Twisted. And then I'm the only girl in the family, and I'm the youngest. So they said, I think it was Pete, right? They said, you ought to just call it Slightly Twisted Sister, because when I was driving the Spitzer Alder, they were telling me they ought to call me Slightly Altered, because they're always giving me a bad time, teasing me. My own brothers, family and people you race with. So we did. That's how we came up with that kind of side stamp there and just chunk. And then we had an artist by the name of Scott Carter that works for Stitz Printing. And we sent him a picture, and he hand drew that shirt that you see, and then, did their magic with their computers and color, and just really made it pop. And the shirt just came out amazing. So that took off, and it's just a killer-looking shirt. So we're really excited to have them draw us up a new shirt for this new car, but we're still in the process of doing some upgrades and modifications for it, because as the years go by, things need a little TLC. So we're excited to get it, the cosmetics of it done when we get it back together and get a new shirt drafted up to get out there.
Now, when you're out on the track, Molly, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions when you're out there?
Oh, yes, she does.
Well, I do everything when I go to get ready. I do everything the same way, right down to putting on the right glove first, then the left glove first. I mean, everything is absolutely repetition. So there's some things that if you stop and think about it, you'll lose your momentum because you don't really think about it. It's just automatic. So I think more than superstition is the huge amount of respect that I have for it, and I have to stop and tell myself that, not everybody does this, and I don't ever want to take it for granted because they can go out there and drive it, there's a lot to it. There's been many years, many hours, many passes to practice, and you learn what not to do by doing it wrong, and then you learn what you should do, and that's what you try and remember to do the next time. And one thing I say a lot, it doesn't matter, I just have to screw up less than the other guy. So.
Now, what are some of your guys' favorite tracks to go to?
Well, we like Woodburn. Woodburn is our home trout. We went to Boise this year for their oldies race, in 2019 we went to Boise for their oldies race in the Fiat and won that race in the Pro Comp class, the Kenny Welch sponsored Pro Comp class. Had a great time, met some new people, and just found out that Boise, Idaho is just an amazing, beautiful track and great people. We also love Mission, Canada. Those people, you go up there for one of their nostalgia races, and they have a hot rod show go on at the same time, and the Langley Loafers, and that is the most impressive race you'll ever see. Just hot rods galore. They treat you so well. The track prep is second to none, and I'd have to say I also like Seattle, Pacific Raceways in Seattle, Washington, or Kent, Washington. Another nice track, but in the same respects, we have bucket list tracks. I mean, I would really like to go and run with NorCal Nostalgia and race Samoa drag strip, which is out on the beach. I'd like to see Redding. I'd like to see Sacramento. I'd like to possibly put Molly into either the NE1 Nostalgia Series and race the Nostalgia Series as an NE1 or 7.0 Pro in the future. That's kind of one of our goals we're looking at for her, is get her up on the big stage in Pomona and win her a championship in Nostalgia Heritage Racing with NHRA. Madras drag strip also in Central Oregon.
Madras has 2 nostalgia races, one in April and one in September. And they've really done a lot of improvements with the track. And is it Daimler that's over there? they're making a test road, so they've done some improvements on the property. They're getting new scoreboards, and so we're looking forward to maybe even getting over there a little bit more. And then Derek Snelson runs the track over in Yakima, which is, he's a great promoter, and he drags everybody over there, and they get some of the dry weather when it's raining over here, so that's a nice place for us to sneak away in the springtime and
Test and tune.
knock some of the dust off.
Now, you guys gonna be running quarter mile or eighth mile?
We will run both. We'll run, it depends what the track is doing and the track conditions. For example, when we've gone to Yakima in the last couple years, the track may not have been ideal, so they pulled the race down to an 8-mile race. We had one race where Woodburn did the same thing, so we will run either one. Madras is an 8-mile only track, so we'll run 8, and the new car is really fast in the 8. The slightly twisted sister, the Fiat, was really fast in the 8 as well because it was just a small block, so it'd get up there and it really show everybody in the 8th mile what it was made of. You stretch it out to the quarter and she'd flatten out a little bit on the top end, but we'll run either one, quarter or 8th, and we enjoy both.
Now, where do you get your fire safety equipment from, Molly?
Well, I have gotten my belt done and some of the other things from Taylor Motorsports in Albany, which Dennis Taylor and Justin are great for that. And I have yet to get my fire suit. I'm kind of waiting until after Christmas for that. I don't know why everybody laughs when I tell them. So, if I get on the whole elliptical a little more, I don't know. I'm kind of scared of that tape measure, I think.
Oh.
But I have a 15 suit, but with this car, I need to get a 20 suit. So that's why I'm kind of in between right now.
Now, have you reached any milestones in your drag racing career?
Well, Woodburn Drag Strip gave the Pruett family the Danny Kilcup Award in 2017 for preserving and promoting the sport of drag racing, which was quite an honor. I mean, you got to look that up when you get some time, because there's been some really neat people that have been given that award, and that was a real big honor. And then when we took the Fiat out our first year in 2018 and won the championship in Dragster Roadster, they also gave me the Driver of the Year award, which for the specialty series that I was extremely surprised by. So that was a pretty awesome thing. But just getting back into it, getting started again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what we can do with this new car.
Now, have you ever had any accidents or close calls in your drag racing career?
No, I mean, there have been times where I had to take my foot off the gas, but I've been very fortunate to have some quick reflexes and lots of good teachers and lots of input over the years. Take all the input I can get, because, like I said, there's just the utmost respect, and there's just certain things that you don't do.
Well, knock on wood, you won't have any accidents.
Amen to that. And speaking of amen, we're very fortunate that Mr. David Cookman is our RFC chaplain down at the racetrack, and he actually heads up the Dragster Roadster class and runs in it, as well as goes around and says prayers over the drivers and the crews in their cars when they're running. So we're very, very thankful for him. And he actually married Craig and I as well. So we're very blessed to have him at the track.
Yeah, I had David on the show before. I think it was last year I had him on.
Nice.
So now I'm going to ask you guys a few fun questions here. Outside of drag racing, you guys have any other hobbies?
We like to go to the sand dunes and play a little on the sand. We've had Jeeps, and we just may have recently acquired a little side-by-side to serve dual purpose, and that's to work with the race car team and push the car back. We like to pull to the line, and we push the car after the race back to the pits. We're kind of crazy that way, but we have other activities as far as just seeing the West Coast and hanging out with a lot of family and friends. We don't do a whole lot of other stuff. I mean,
in the off season, we mostly get ready for the race season.
Yeah, that's about it.
But we can still take off to the beach. Like you said, you go visit family and do those things. But, and the darn job's always getting away.
Yeah, we keep trying for that lottery thing, but it hasn't been too successful yet.
I hear you on that one. Now, if you guys ever have time to go on a vacation, you have a favorite vacation getaway spot?
Well, we're still looking, but I think there's some places I have never been. I think I would like to see some of the smaller islands in Hawaii and possibly some of the areas down south in the wintertime. Mexico. I mean, our life really is in the summertime in the Northwest. We start in about March, and we go all the way through October, and it's drag racing, and more drag racing. And, it just doesn't, if we're going to do something like go on a nice vacation, it's going to be normally from November till March and February, and that's what it's going to be. But there again, like Molly said, that's time we tear down the car, check every nut and bolt, and do whatever routine maintenance needs to be done. Bearings, springs, all of it.
Celebrate a few holidays and then back at it.
Celebrate a few holidays, and you never guess what happens when we get together with all the family for drag racing, or all the family for the holidays. Guess what? We talk about drag racing.
Now, if you were able to go back into time, Molly, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
Oh, wow. I hadn't even thought about that. I did have to put my foot down once in a while and say, no, I don't want a different car. Can I stay in this one just for another year? I think I got it down. I think I can drive it with my pinky. Because when you have a car that you run within 200ths of a second every single pass, and if you cut a decent light, you can go rounds and go through a couple barrels of fuel. But as far as the racing goes, I never look at it as a year-long or a goal. That's Craig. That's his job. He's the one adding up the points and getting all excited about where this is going to go and where that's going to go. And I literally, every time I get in the car, I'm just doing my job. I'm going A to B, the best reaction time I can, and running as close to my number because we bracket race. And it's literally pass by pass. So I don't think of it as a season or a race. It's just every single time I go up there, I want to do every single little thing I do perfect. And then when the race is done, when light comes on or it doesn't come on, I want to do it the best I can. And if I did something wrong, I learn from it and I go out the next time. It's kind of like when you go, throw a dart. You want to hit that center bullseye every time, right? Okay, do I kick my elbow in? Do I let go sooner, later? Well, once you figure out that sweet spot, that's exactly what you want to do every single time. So I just take it pass by pass.
All right. Now, what is both of your favorite food to eat?
Our favorite food to eat?
Yeah, both of you guys.
Well, I've been known to be the grill master, so I would have to say mine is probably Traeger cooked steaks that I've marinated for 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, he's pretty much, he's nailed that.
So what's your favorite food?
I got to say the same thing. I mean, my brother and my sister-in-law come up, and they're like, is Craig cooking steak? And my brother says, I just want to smell this forever. It just, I haven't touched a grill in years.
So
it's amazing.
Now, what is your guys' favorite beverage to drink?
Adult beverage or beverage?
Yeah, you can answer both non-alcoholic and alcoholic.
Well, the day cannot start until we have had our coffee. It's impossible for a day to begin without our coffee. And then if we're going to relax and have a nice adult beverage toddy before we turn in for the evening, I'd have to say mine is probably a gin and tonic.
Molly?
Vodka. Just the easy stuff. Nothing fancy.
And non-alcoholic coffee, right?
Oh, yeah. I don't know what I'd do without that. More than anything, lots of water. Especially the racetrack. Oh, my gosh. We take cases of water.
We take cases. We hand out water, too. If we have someone come through the pits and they want to see the car or talk with us, and they have children or somebody with them, they don't leave our pits without a bottle of water in their hand. And I keep in the cooler in the trailer, I probably keep 2 cases on ice every race, and I never let anybody leave our pits without water in their hand.
Nice.
It's just, sometimes it can sneak up on them, and they get hot and they get dehydrated.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. We really push the water at the track.
Yeah, and when it's 100 degrees or 95 degrees, I may or may not have been known to keep some orange juice in the refrigerator in the motorhome at the track, because when you're going up and you want to cut a quick light and it's hot and you're lethargic, good old-fashioned orange juice will do the trick.
Now, with the Fiat, did you guys put a lot of kids in the seat in the pit area?
As many of them that wanted to get in it, some of them we had to bribe them and talk them into it, and they still got them in there.
Yep, we
take
did.
Pictures, and that's a lot of the fun is sharing it, seeing the looks on their faces. It's awesome.
There's a real nice picture with Molly and 2 kids underneath the body in the car, and all thumbs up. And we even would take the car to roadster shows and do startups at roadster shows or car shows on the off weekends. And that was the big thing, was always putting kids in the cars and showing them the controls and letting them sit in the seat and touch the steering wheel. And anytime we can promote the racing and promote the car and promote Molly, we try to do as much as we possibly can.
And create a memory of a lifetime for the kids.
Absolutely.
Yep.
The kids are the future.
Yep.
You are absolutely correct. And if they have a positive role model like Molly at the track, and we make sure that our pits are clean. We make sure that there's not a lot of foul language that goes on in our pit. If they see me with one of the 2 cars, I'm normally praying before the pass over both my drivers, and we try to make it a positive thing. It's very important that they see positive and good attitudes and good sportsmanship. If we lose, we shake their hand. We don't ever go out. If we win, we're happy. If we lose, we're happy for the other person. We try to promote good sportsmanship.
Yeah, then going out to the car shows too, that also probably brings potential, race fans to come out and watch the car on the track.
Oh, absolutely.
That's true. We've had people come like that and say, hey, we'll go down there and see you. And, we've made friends that way, too. We see them at the other tracks, and we'll be at a different track. And, hey, how you going? So it's fun.
All right, so now, Molly, what's been your most embarrassing moment on the track?
Well, most embarrassing moment? It's not embarrassing. It's frustrating if you leave before the tree gets activated because you didn't put your car in first gear when you have a power glide. You only have first and second, and the trans brake only works in low gear. That's embarrassing. More than anything, it's frustrating because that one time I have to make a pass, if you get 3 passes in a day, it's not like you can go out and do it 20 times over. And the faster you go, the more it takes it out of you. So when you see these guys running these 7-second cars and they're doing 180, 90 miles an hour, After you make 3 passes in one of those, it pretty much drains you. I mean, the tension, the everything. It's exhausting. But embarrassing, yeah, it's just probably frustrating. I don't know if I have a embarrassment out of it, because you kind of put everybody out of your mind when you're running. You have your car, and the other end. That's about it.
Now, Craig, as a crew chief, you have a most embarrassing moment on a trek?
Well, there's, if you get to a really good track and you lose one of them shoes out there in the sticky stuff,
Yeah.
the really embarrassing part would be as if you have a hole in your sock. Now, you always want to make sure you check your socks before you go out onto the track and bring your driver to the line. It's just really important. It's just that kind of stuff. And you asked earlier about superstitions. There's words we are not allowed to use at the track or during racing season, or even sometimes even during the off season. You're not allowed to use those words when it comes to the Christmas tree and starting line procedure and starting line launch. It's an omen. You cannot do it. And so, but as far as embarrassing moments, I don't know. I don't know that I've been too embarrassed about too many things. I might have embarrassed Molly when I proposed to her at Madras Drag Strip, and she didn't know it was coming, and I blindsided her.
In the morning, first thing, hadn't even raced yet. Needless to say, I didn't race with hell of beans that day. I'm like, really? Now? Really? And everybody said, yeah, now she gets to drive. Good job, Craig. Hey, thanks, Craig. We appreciate that, Craig. Yeah, that wasn't my greatest day of driving.
Now, Molly, what's been the fondest memory of your drag racing career?
Fondest memory. Wow. Okay, let me think about it for a bit. You can keep going. I'll think about it.
How about Craig? You got a fondest memory?
I do. They all stack up in like a deck of cards, my memories of drag racing, from helping so many people, the McCurdy's, the Pete Farrow and his wife, Deb, and helping my dad as a child, and then becoming our own team. Molly and I helped numerous people throughout our lives with their cars, and then once becoming our own group, our own members. And I guess I'd have to say my fondest memory is when Molly and I were going to take our brand new car to us, the Fiat, for its first passes at Yakima Drag Strip. And we talked all the way from Portland to Yakima, which is about a 3-hour drive. And I grew up there as a kid in summers with my grandma. So I told Molly, I said, let's take the car out. Let's just make a nice, easy shakedown pass. Start the line, just kind of like as if you were licensing. Well, fond memory, Molly gets up there. She puts her finger on the trans brake, brings the car up. She's sitting on pre-stage stage. Car launches, and I'm waiting. And I'm waiting to hear the car back down. And somehow, it never happened. It never happened. She never let up. She never let off the gas. Car went the full quarter mile all the way down. And then here comes the laundry out. And I'm like, I don't think I will ever forget that. That has to be my fondest memory of watching Molly first time in the car. And when I finally got down there in the golf cart to pick her up, I said, so? She said, it felt really good, so I just stayed in it. There's my fondest memory.
And that's what I mean about doing stuff automatic without thinking about it. You don't think about taking your foot off the gas when everything's going good.
Well, that's when I knew I had a real driver.
Yeah. So my fondest memory, my 2 brothers run in Pro Nostalgia class, and they run together. And then my youngest brother, that's a year older than me, his wife runs the old 55 Chevy. It's a Roadster, so it's flat, called Hangin' High. And if you look that up, it's been around forever, since the 70s. So when you take it up to Canada, everybody, I remember this car from the 70s. But, so they need, my 2 brothers in Pro Nostalgia, they need people to put fuel in their hat to start them. So my 2 brothers running were going up to the line, and then me and my other brother, my youngest brother, were starting each brother. So I was sitting there on the starting line thinking to myself,